Hello and welcome today. Today is a World Asthma Day, and we have invited Dr. Tejal Shah, who's a renowned pulmonologist on the central side of the suburbs. Hi, Dr. Tejal. How are you?
Hi Hemal, how are you?
I'm good. So, today, being a World Asthma Day, we have some questions which people have asked us, and we would like to clear some doubts in their mind.
Clear
So,
the air about asthma.
yes. So, that's what. So, that's why a pulmonologist is here to clear the air so that we can breathe freely. Right. So, Tejal, tell me, what is asthma? You keep on hearing about this child having asthma, that one having asthma. Can you just throw some light on what is asthma?
So, asthma is a chronic disorder where there is a swelling of the windpipe. To put it in very simple words, it's a swelling and inflammation of the windpipe where, because of some trigger from the outside or the inside of the body, this hypersensitive windpipe will become narrow and give you symptoms of asthma. That's
Okay.
pure definition of
Okay.
asthma.
Okay. So, it is just the windpipe or the lungs also, or
No,
part
it's
of
not the lungs. It's just the pipe leading into the lungs
Okay.
that becomes narrow. The passage becomes narrow. There's nothing wrong with the rooms of the lungs.
Okay. Okay. So during the viral fever and a normal cough cold, someone would have, or I would have a common cough cold, and sometimes I have breathing difficulty. So does that mean I have asthma, or how would one person know that he or she has an asthma?
So one of the main points about asthma is versus a bronchitis patient is that there are periods where the patient is completely normal. Okay, so it's paroxysmal. And secondly, yes, you have a wheezing cough. You have more symptoms at night because your body steroid levels are very low from 3 to 5 a.m. So that is the time when ideally you get an asthma attack. Or if you are exposed to certain triggers, when you have a coughing or a breathlessness bout immediately after a trigger, then that is a clue that you have asthma. So the main
Okay.
symptoms being breathlessness, wheezing, chest tightness,
Okay.
and some trigger that has caused it.
You mentioned paroxysmal. What does that mean?
Paroxysm means in between the attacks, the patient is completely normal,
Okay.
has absolutely no symptoms. This is
Okay.
how we distinguish them from, senior patients who have bronchitis or COPD,
Okay.
which people
Okay.
might have heard of, where they always have some amount of breathlessness. They have exertional breathlessness.
Okay.
While an asthma patient is completely fine one day and suddenly next morning has an acute attack.
So Hindi movies, they show that they have asthma attack and they carry with inhalers, and without inhalers they would die.
Yes.
So are the inhalers necessary?
We should sue the films for showing like that, because you're not dependent. They're trying to show that you're dependent on an inhaler, and that's why inhaler has become a villain.
Okay.
While actually it's like you're burnt and you're applying ointment on that part
Okay.
of skin.
Okay.
You have an eye, ear, nose problem, you're going to put some local drops. So this is just a local therapy. Inhaler is getting the drug straight where the action is required.
Okay.
If I'm taking an inhaler, it's going through my mouth, straight down my windpipe, and it's having direct action
Effect
on that inflamed, narrowed airway. So inhalers are absolutely safe,
Okay.
non-addictive, and
Okay.
have absolutely no side effects.
All right. But as I said, is it always necessary, or it is just that in that acute phase for an immediate relief, an inhaler is a better choice than a tablet or a drug?
So asthma is categorized into mild, moderate, severe. So in the mild variety, in middle, in the periods when you're normal and you don't take any treatment, it's fine.
Okay.
But yes, during an acute attack, an inhaler is the best medicine. Even if you
Okay.
take a tablet, the tablet takes time. It has to get digested
absorb,
and
yes.
reach the lungs, while the inhaler goes directly into the lungs. So yes, inhaler is mandatory during an acute attack.
Okay. Now, my next question is: can I get if I have an asthma? Is there anything where I say, okay, now I'm free of asthma, or I'm got cured of asthma?
It's not curable. It's controllable.
Okay.
I don't want want to bust all the myths that it's
Yes.
curable, and some fish eating in the south can cause asthma cure. There are some Ayurvedic homeopathy treatments that can cause, But you can't get cured of asthma. It's also a genetic problem. You
Okay.
have a genetic predisposition, like a propensity to get asthma. Not everyone gets asthma. Like even if you have a family history, not every generation, everyone will get asthma. It might skip a generation or two. So it's a genetic predisposition, and you can't get away with complete cure, but it's completely controllable.
Okay. And is it life threatening? Is asthma life threatening?
Yes, if not treated,
Okay.
it's very difficult to die of an asthma attack now because we have so many modalities available. But yes, all said and done, if you can't avail of these modalities like inhalers, nebulizers, if required injections, then yes, you can die of an asthma attack.
And you, in your practice as a pulmonologist, have you seen a lot of difference pre-COVID and post-COVID when patients are affected with, remember we used to do CT chest during the COVID, and there was some score which was if it is less than 8, it is fine. From 8 to 18 was moderate, and above 18 was more. So have you noticed that because of such things we got affected during the COVID? Is asthma more common now with those people who had suffered COVID?
Not really. No, no.
No.
COVID is a viral infection. It could leave behind certain scars in your lungs, but it
Okay.
doesn't cause you to have asthma. Yes, COVID is a virus, so a viral infection can be a trigger for an asthma attack if I'm an
Okay.
asthmatic. But per se, COVID doesn't cause asthma later on in life.
Okay.
But COVID did treat people to become okay with taking flu vaccines annually, with wearing a mask. Earlier wearing a mask was like a taboo, but
Yes.
now it's like a fashion statement also.
Yes.
So there were some good points out of COVID. People became more aware of lung health,
Yes.
of infections. So yes, it did help, but COVID does not cause asthma later on.
Okay. Do mental stress trigger asthma?
Yes, I would say stress, anxiety, extreme emotions can trigger an asthma attack. It's a play of hormones as
Okay.
well as they can cause GERD. GERD means acidity, reflux. And that reflux is one of the biggest internal triggers for asthma.
Asthma. Okay.
I would say it's number two. Number one being a runny nose, allergic rhinitis that we
Yes,
call.
yes.
So the runny nose is the first trigger, and the second biggest trigger is acidity and GERD disease.
Okay, that means the reflux, what you're
Reflux
talking
disease,
about.
yes, yes.
Okay. Dr. Tejal, can you tell us something which particularly stands out in your practice where you learned something and you would like to share it with us on this platform?
So I was saying that for treatment, inhalers are very important.
Yes.
But inhaler is not something that you take from the chemist and start by yourself. The doctor has to teach you the technique, because inhaler technique, like I had a child who was coming to me, he was a 9-year-old, so quite smart and everything. And the mother is like, since 3 months he's taking inhalers, you said he'll get better with inhalers, and he's not improving. I said, really? So then I said, okay, next time you get your inhaler, let me see. Sometimes, he's not pressing well, the dose counter didn't move, the numbers didn't move. But I was shocked when he came back. He was doing the complete opposite of what I had
Yes.
taught him. So that was one lesson I learned, that in asthma, it's not enough to just prescribe an inhaler. I think every second, third turn, I should check the technique, because even a smart patient can go wrong. And when you are very breathless in an asthma attack, you may not be able to remember and do the right technique.
steps. Yeah.
So I think we should just reinforce the technique. And that was one case that I felt like, oh God, that 9-year-old also did not understand what I was trying to say.
Yes. I think that's one way. I don't know whether you've seen a Doctor House where there's a female who comes.
Yes.
And it shows about the same thing, that she was probably, if I correctly remember, not using the inhaler
Correct.
in a right
It's
way.
very common.
Yes.
So there are these capsule pumps also
Yes.
available.
Yes.
So very often certain uneducated patients or coming from rural areas, if you don't tell them that this is the capsule for the inhaler, they actually take it as
the
a capsule,
Right.
through the mouth, expecting
Right.
it to work. So
Right.
I think we also need to be, teaching our patients correctly everything. and ensuring that they understand what I'm trying
How
to say.
you have to do
Yes,
it.
yes.
Great. So, Dr. Tejal, tell me, how does smoking affect a normal lung, and what happens if a patient is asthmatic but still smoking? What is the difference, or how does it affect your lung?
So smoking is literally burning your way into the lungs, right? So starts from the mouth and down the windpipe. It burns means it causes inflammation, which can become cancerous at a later stage. And it goes down the lungs and through the windpipe and into the rooms of the lungs, which we call as alveoli. Okay, so it can affect every part of the airway. What is it does is that the lining, naturally our body has a very good defense mechanism. So we have a very, very thin cover over our windpipe and the alveoli. So this burns
Okay.
that lining. So when it burns the lining, it's called inflammation, right? And because of that inflammation, now the underside of the lining is exposed to the atmosphere, which is very toxic,
Okay.
right? And then you're adding either more smoke to it, or the environmental pollution, or the construction dust, or any other triggers from a chemical factory to a perfume,
Okay.
any strong smell, like even for a housewife, doing that fodni for cooking a vegetable. So all of that strong smell then starts affecting the underside of that lining, which was actually till now well protected. So this can all cause a problem. It causes inflammation. It can also lead to certain genetic mutations and cause cancerous cells to start multiplying, which emerge much, much later in life.
Okay.
And so you might see cancer at a later stage, even if sometimes, unfortunately, if you stop smoking. Some people feel, so I stopped smoking
Why did
10
I
years
get a
ago.
cancer?
Why did I
Yeah,
get cancer? So again, that process had begun. The ball was already started rolling down the hill. So that's why. So that is there. Secondly, you asked me an asthmatic smoking. Most of the asthmatics would find it difficult to smoke. So
Okay.
yeah,
Blessing in disguise type.
absolutely.
Blessing
So
in disguise.
I'd rather be an asthmatic than
Rather
be a smoker. Although the environment now, the pollution in Mumbai now is as good as smoking in Mumbai. So we have to. It's like if you want to give you an example, it's like you have a burnt patch of skin, and I put hot water on it, right? So the way it's going to react is what happens to an asthmatic, even if he lands up smoking,
it's like
or someone around him.
Adding fuel to the fire already.
Very literally. Very literally. Yes.
Okay. You said something very interesting, which probably I'm going to ask you a question where my smoker friend would probably love that. Is that you said that in spite of stopping to smoke, okay, you can still develop cancer. So, like, okay, then should I leave smoking?
I think, wouldn't you want to also answer that? So, everyone's laughing.
Right.
So, smoking besides cancer can also cause a lot of other damages in the lungs.
Right.
So, beyond asthma, there is a very, one of the second leading cause, worldwide of death, mortality is COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, which is common man's this bronchitis. So, bronchitis, this happens because mainly smokers develop bronchitis, again, which is very downhill, progressive. You can become breathless. And the first cause of death being cardiac, and second is bronchitis. So I think that makes you more mortal than the cancer, which may not come up, right? So, guys, don't smoke.
Perfect. So one important question to you, Dr. Tejal, since I'm a surgeon and you know that Dr. Chaya, my wife, she's an anesthetist, and we're always worried about operating a patient who is chronically smoking, and in spite of telling them not to smoke at least 5 to 7 days before the surgery, still in that anxiety of surgery, or they feel that after the surgery they will not be able to smoke for some time, they would smoke 1 or 2 cigarettes on the day of the surgery, still nil by mouth, and still land up for the surgery. So what are the complications they are looking at if they still continue to smoke till the date of the surgery?
So first of all, there's nothing like 5 to 7 days before surgery. you can't smoke. One. Two, what happens, as I explained, and I'd like to say again, is that it inflames your airway. When you're talking about a major surgery, a surgery which is going to go on for some time, and as you said, the anesthetist is going to put a pipe, it's going to intubate you and put you on general anesthesia. What does general anesthesia do is that it suppresses even your respiratory center, and it takes over breathing like a machine for your lungs. But when you want to extubate such a patient, very often, the tube acts like a trigger, and this causes a reverse spasm. So you can actually bring on a sort of an asthma attack or a bronchitic attack post extubation, especially if this person has smoked recently or even in the past. That's why the minute you hear that, my patient is a smoker, whether he has a surgery or no is irrespective. And if they ask me, which is the best timeline, it's not like 12 hours fasting, 24 hours fasting. Please stop smoking, because your risk of post anesthetic complications, like to come off the ventilator, to come off the BiPAP, to then need other antibiotics, to get chest infections post operatively. So all these complications are absolutely avoidable. I
True,
mean,
true.
shouldn't you worry about your more important surgery,
Yes.
that you're doing something already? Why worry about something that was in your hands initially, which you don't, just don't do the smoking prior
Okay.
to the surgery? That'd be better.
Dr. Tejal, why do we see more asthma cases nowadays? Is it because pollution is the biggest villain what we have?
Definitely. I think every road in Mumbai is undergoing, either the road is undergoing construction or there's some redevelopments and there's some other constructions. And the whole air quality index, as we have seen in the last 2 years, there's actually smog in Mumbai, which we never had earlier. So all of this is contributing to more triggers in the environment. So people who had this predisposition, but in their childhood they didn't face any triggers, so they didn't have an asthma attack.
Okay.
But now, because of these new triggers, they are not sensitized to it, and suddenly they're going into an asthma. So very simply, many people say, how long should I take medication? I'm like, you can't change your environment.
True.
You have limitations about changing yourself, leave Mumbai.
Okay.
So very often you see, you travel out of Mumbai. Even if you go to a simple
I
village,
agree.
hill station, even abroad, wherever, where the air quality is much better than Mumbai. I mean,
True.
I'm talking about Mumbai presently,
True.
but the urban areas, the pollution level is so high
Yes.
that just leaving it is your trigger's gone, there's no asthma. Right?
I've heard so many patients like they are not feeling well, they're having respiratory problem, but once they move to a place like a Devlali or somewhere,
Absolutely.
they're so fresh and they never have any respiratory problems.
Most of our senior citizens and all, we can advise,
Yes.
they have a retired life, they can go off to a second
Yes.
home that is outside of Mumbai.
Yes.
But unfortunately, asthma occurs in a younger age group also,
All right.
where there are job requirements, family requirements. So it's very
True.
difficult for them.
True.
But they do notice that, yes, when we travel, for
Okay.
leisure or for work, even if we just go out of this environment,
You feel
we're
better.
definitely better.
Yes.
So yeah, we can't modify environment. So there are a few things that nowadays, like as I said earlier, COVID has helped us wear a mask, in crowded places, especially. There are so many people around us nowadays who have a viral, cough cold. People just cough away. They don't have cough etiquette. So wearing a simple mask can definitely prevent you, because those viral infections are one of the biggest triggers of asthma attacks as well.
True.
So wearing a mask around people, I will say wearing a mask even in polluted areas, or I can't
nowadays
advise
we
in the
see
house, but there are people who have
trains
air
and all.
purifiers.
Trains.
Oh my God. Trains,
Yes.
buses,
Yes.
Public
Public
yeah.
places,
which you can't
basically.
help and travel in,
But we can wear a mask.
we can try. We can
Wear a
try
mask.
a little, because a mask goes a long way in
True,
helping you.
true.
Yes.
So in India, which state is safe to stay? Means I have heard that pollution in Delhi is really bad, and staying in Delhi is smoking 10 cigarettes a day. Staying in Mumbai is smoking 2-3 cigarettes a day. So what do you feel about the pollution?
So yes, pollution is ruining everything for this. Like since the past 2 3 years, we are hearing of smog, as I said earlier, and pollution is causing not only repercussions on the lung health, it's also affecting. The lot of other things like people's temperaments, lifestyles, and everything. So pollution is as good as smoking, and when we do tests of normal people who don't have any symptoms or signs of asthma or COPD, we realize that they have lungs as bad as a smoker.
Okay.
Not that you should start smoking, but the pollution levels are as high. The AQI
Yes.
is definitely bad.
And obviously, on top of it, if you smoke, then you're worsening the situation.
Yes,
Right.
absolutely. Yes.
Okay. So, Dr. Tejal, can you just show us how or what is the right way to use an inhaler?
Okay, I've got one. So this is a metered dose inhaler, or in common language, the pump of asthma. And we open this, breathe out everything, attach the inhaler, press, and start breathing in. And then exhale. So 5 second hold, 10 second hold, and exhale only after the pump comes out of the mouth. Always gargle after the use of an inhaler. That's the correct technique.
So, Dr. Tejal, what is the funniest or the weirdest myth you have heard about asthma?
These Bollywood things, no? That if I don't take the pump, I'm going to die.
Okay.
You know, villain ne hide kar diya
Kar diya
pump ko.
and-
So I think that's really funny, and it's a biggest misconception.
Okay. And next is, if asthma could talk, what would it say to people on World Asthma Day?
Breathing is a privilege, and it's not a given thing. So don't abuse that privilege.
Oh, that's nice. Perfect. So, Dr. Tejal, tell me now, May vacation is coming up, and I am planning to go to high altitudes like Leh Ladakh, or probably Char Dham Yatras or whatever. So, if you're traveling at high altitudes, what should I get scared, or how do I avoid myself to get breathless?
Right. So going to the mountains is not an issue. Yes, as we go higher, the air becomes more scarce and there's a little less oxygen. So we cannot immediately go into a high altitude. You have to go gradually upwards. So you have to time your days in such a way that you stay for a night or two at a lower altitude, go a little higher, then you will not get breathless at all. Otherwise, there are medications available, or you might need oxygen. It's not permanently damaging, but yes, if you've not trained well, as in not gone slowly into high altitude, then you do need treatment with medications and with oxygen.
Okay. Since my next question was that I've heard that they give some medicines. If I'm not mistaken, is Dimox
Dimox.
they give. Yes.
Yes.
So how do we take the Dimox, or is it dangerous for some people to take Dimox, or is it okay for everyone to take Dimox? How is it?
So yes, you have to use it judiciously. So as I said, if you can't plan your itinerary in a more slower fashion to reach high altitude, you can take a Dimox twice a day when you're reaching your lower altitude, and continue it all the way up. And when you come down, till then, you have to continue your Dimox and this. It's pretty safe, but yes, it should be taken with the doctor's advice, because you might have some other comorbidities.
True. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to know. That any Tom, Dick, and Harry can take
No,
Dimox,
it shouldn't.
or
It should be taken under advice. Just because your friend is taking it,
doesn't
you
mean
cannot
that you
take
can
it.
take it.
Yes, absolutely.
So nowadays, I see that whenever you buy a new car, there is a small air purifier thing which is there in the car, or we have air purifiers. They're selling it. Do you feel that is good enough to have one air purifier?
So there is a difference between an air purifier and an air humidifier. Okay, so in Mumbai we don't need humidifiers, but air purifiers, yes, if you're sitting constantly in a closed environment, and they have specification that one machine can cater to say about 100 square feet of space or something. But what happens is we install these air purifiers in the bedroom, and half the day we are in either the person is either in the living room or in the office or somewhere else. So it has to be used through the day, and you can't have cross ventilation and anything else happening. So it has to be in a closed environment. So air purifiers are not used properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.